Okay, so just a reminder for everyone joining us now, you don't need any props, but you can use as many as you want to. If you have been doing this for a while, you might have gone online and bought a few things. Ball, ring would be the first few, maybe a foam roller, some hand weights, resistance band, leg weights. I mean, you can get crazy if you want to, but you don't need any of those for today. We are gonna stretch throughout and then stretch a bit more at the end, just because I feel like everyone is tight. Again, we have switched to kind of no music classes, so you won't hear any music coming from my end. I'll be listening to my music, and we'll use a Spotify playlist. The link is posted earlier, so if you want to get ready to play that with me, I'll start that in just a second, and hopefully you'll hear me better through a mic today as well. So, everyone queuing up your music, I'm gonna press play in 3, 2, 1, go. All right, and if not, you can play it later as well. Let's see how loud this mic is for you guys. Hello, 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 hello. Yeah, better? All right. Hopefully that is easy to hear since I'll be further away from you. Okay, here we go. So we're gonna start standing. Wide stance, turn your toes forward or a little bit in. Hands on the hips, moving from side to side. And then straight down through the middle. Bend your knees as much as you need to. You're trying to tilt your sacrum way up toward the ceiling. Bend your knees even more, and then walk your hands forward, almost blending a forward fold with a wide down dog, and your hands farther forward than normal. When you're there, add a side lunge to it, so bend one knee off to one side, back and forth. We've got an itchy pug situation this week. It's time for a bath. Next time you land on one side, does not matter which, you're gonna spin up, toes facing the ceiling, and sit it on down. This can look like a low side lunge here, or you can totally keep it high. Brace on your legs, it's totally okay. Either way. All right, we're still on this side. Turn towards your bent knee, find a lunge. So pivot on those back toes, drop the back knee to the floor. You might need a breath or two to get comfortable, or more, no worries. But when you are, hands on the ground, shimmy your hips a little bit left to right. Sometimes in yoga land, this is called a lizard, when you get low. Not sure why. Pop that back knee up, you're on the back toes. We're pivoting to face the camera, and then switching back through the middle like we have been doing. New side lunge. Drop down onto that heel, toes facing the ceiling, or again, stay as high as you need. And then we're continuing that same way. So hands pivot, turn toward that bent knee, drop the back knee to the floor, give it a minute or so, and then maybe just a few inches side to side. So you're not only moving your hips left to right, you're feeling that back femur rotate in your hip socket like you're screwing a light bulb into a lamp or something. We'll get more into that later. All right, pop that back knee up. You're in a lunge, side lunge. Walk it back through the middle. Find that forward fold one more time. And then walk your hands so they're right under your shoulders. Round your back, around your hips under, drop your chin. Exhale everything out, push into the floor. Bend your knees, inhale, arch. Use your hands to paw almost towards your toes, tugging your heart forward. Shoulder blades slide away from your ears. One more time, exhale, round. And inhale, arch. All the way up. Walk your feet in a little bit more if you need to. Round on up, belly is engaged. At the top, shoulders inhale to your ears. Exhale back together and down. One more. Inhale forward and up. Exhale back and down. All right, wiggle those feet in. And then step it back out, but turn out. So second position, eyeball your knees. Make sure they're turned out the same distance as your toes. Hands on the legs. We're going to shimmy side to side here. I did start teaching yoga before Pilates, so yoga instruction has been like 15, 16 years now, and one of the most educational things I ever learned from one of my favorite yoga teachers ever was to loosen the hips up before you expect the spine to. So I know that we've all been sitting a lot. So if you start with the leg junction into the hips, into the spine, you have a much better chance of feeling a little more bendy from the bottom up there. All right, round on up. And back down. One more time. Exhale, round the tailbone, round the ribs. We're gonna come all the way down and add a twist. So fingers are facing toward the floor here. Gently drop one shoulder toward the floor. Look over the back. You're pushing gently into that leg. Exhale, round up through the middle like we've been doing. Big inhale at the top, all the way down into your twist. So drop one shoulder toward the camera. Look over the back shoulder. And all the way up. All right, wiggling just a little bit. One hand on the hip. We're gonna go up and over with your free arm. We're pressing the hips to one side, crawling your ribs up and over each other. Breathe into your side ribs, stretch them apart from each other. Take your free hand, if it goes there, to the bottom ear, just for some support for the head. And then twist your chest toward the ceiling a little bit. Now, belly is engaged. Pull your navel in. Exhale that elbow toward the floor. Round your ribs. Find your way through the middle and let go of that arm. All the way up. Second side. So hand on the hip. Free arm reaches up and over. Press your hip toward the wall. Climb up and over. Hold your mic to your face. My downstairs neighbors are retirees. I'm hoping they can't hear this, but if they do, I'm sure they're gonna wonder more and more about their upstairs neighbor. All right, round your ribs toward the floor. Drop that arm all the way up. Now this time, all the way up, you're gonna grab that wrist, so palms facing down. Grab your wrist, gently lift. Tuck your tailbone under a bit. Breathe into the side ribs, so right at your sports bra line. And then switch. So opposite arm reaches up, palm faces the floor. Gently tug on that forearm under the wrist. Baby tailbone tug. Breathe into your ribs. So your inhale itself can be a part of the stretch. And down. All right, wiggle those feet just a smidge closer together. Bend your knees if you need to. We're gonna crawl on down. So tuck your chin around your shoulders, like a rag doll around your ribs. Keep going. If and when you feel your fingertips touch the floor, cradle your elbows together. Heavy head. Take a few deep exhales here. And generally, if something needs to lengthen out or pop or traction, it'll happen here. Big breath out. Maybe a little twist side to side in that torso. Stay here. Crisscross the other way with those arms. It'll feel very strange. And then release the arms and round on up. Last one here. Interlace the fingers behind the hips. Imagine someone put a bowling ball in the hands, so heavy hands. Open those collarbones even wider. Tuck your tailbone under, push through your feet, and lift your chest. Now, you're gonna drop the chin forward as you're still pressing your heart up. Pulling the collarbones wide. So use your mid-back muscles to activate those shoulder blades inward to stretch your pecs. Bend your knees more and more and more. Fold those chest to your legs. Pull back on the hands. And release and roll up. All right, I should feel a little bit warmer, a little bit better. Come on down to seated. And I'm gonna swivel so you can see me sideways. I'm gonna come into some abs. So if you have a ball, put it between your shoulder blades or not. I'm gonna roll all the way down and come into tabletop. Fingertips behind the back of the skull. Put those knees right over your hips. Feet are knee height. Hold that chest lift by pushing the back of your bra line down to lift your shoulder blades up. And then we are straightening one leg out, holding the other leg perfectly still.
back and forth. So if you're on my playlist, the music just got a little faster, that's fine. Don't rush with it. Find those bigger beats. Each time you extend that leg, pause for a second. Look at your low belly. Can you flatten it down a little bit more? So right between the front of your hip bones, at that height, you want to smush straight down like you're compressing. If so, you'll feel like a rubber band, that area tighten all the way around into your spine. One more on each side. And then hug your knees in. Let them rock from side to side. So you're going to use the building warmth here to get into some stretches. Arms out, palms up. Let your knees twist all the way to the floor. Now hold here for a few breaths. With each exhale, sink that back shoulder blade to the ground. Back through the middle. And new side. Don't expect them to be the same. Each exhale, that back shoulder blade is releasing toward the ground. And let's bring it back up. All right, we're gonna rock and roll just a little bit. I'm gonna give you modifications and options as we go. Interlace your fingers behind the back of your skull. First, tuck your knees to your chest. Try and lift your bum a little bit off the floor. You can stick with this, which would look like a little tuck and a scoop of the hips. Chest stays the same. You're targeting that low belly, so it's not a lift and lower of the heels. Keep everything close. Scoop your booty up, and then reset. If you want more, as you come up, you're gonna shoot those legs forward and maybe rock up into a teaser. So I know it's early, so do what you need to. Roll back, hug those knees in, lift, shoot. Woo, catch yourself with your fingers if you need to. Don't kick the pug. One more. All right, then let those legs go to the ground. So we're sitting up, and then for some roll-ups, roll backs. So legs are straight, legs are together, reach forward. Now imagine you're a slinky, but sideways. So it's not just rolling back, and it's not just a forward fold. You want to think actively reaching forward and actively reaching back through whatever part of your spine is the epicenter of the new curve. So, sit up tall, reach forward, roll back one bone at a time, which means your sacrum should hit first, so right between the back of the hips there. Scoop, 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 scoop. Try to feel that sacrum and then the waistband touch. So your waistband touches before the bra line or ribs do. You can go as far back as you like. Now when you get to the floor, give yourself a good stretch. Reach the arms as long as you can away from your toes. And then reach your right foot a little farther than the left, back and forth, like you have two people on either side of you and they are tug-of-warring you longer. You're looking for that sideways stretch. Now, use your arms as much as you need to. Maybe give yourself a little swing to get going, but then instead of just sitting straight up like so, as I reach through my arms, I'm pulling back through my ribs. It's almost like you're curling up with a really low roof that you're trying not to hit. So now my waistband's pulling back as my hands are reaching forward. And then relax into your fold, whatever that looks like for you. Don't worry about it. So we're being really active through the roll ups and roll backs by taking those stretches at the top and bottom. All right, round on up, sit tall. Two more real slow, reach forward. So thinking of laying one bone at a time down on the floor, or bigger chunks like your sacrum, your waistband, and then your ribs. Notice if one side of your side waist is working more or pulling you to that side. At the bottom, reach those arms up. This time point one foot at a time, back and forth. Point, flex, point, flex. When you flex, you're stretching through that heel. Move those hips up and down as you do so. All right, give yourself a little help with those arms if you need it, or don't. Again, we're coming up into a forward fold, imagining a very low ceiling. We're trying not to brush. Reach forward, but pull those ribs back like you're about to go back each time. Waistband pulls back. Reach those fingers back to your toes if you can. And then find that forward fold. Roll up to seated. All right, I'm going to turn to face you so you can see what's happening. We're coming into a V shape and into a saw. So notice before we start moving side to side, before we start stretching, that you have left and right hip bones. They are parallel with each other. You don't have one in front of the other yet. Also, left and right sits bones underneath you. They feel that they weigh the same. We want all of that to stay. So I'm just going to tape this mic to my face and be done with that one day. How's that? Arms out to the side. We're twisting toward one leg through the chest. Now notice the hip that you twisted away from almost always lifts up and gets lighter up and also shifts forward. So pull it back in space and sit back into it. Glue it to the floor in that position. Now we're going to reach the hand that's closer to that foot past it for the stretch and fold if you can or like. So keep pulling back on the hip you're twisting away from. Use your core, lift up, and rotate back to center. Switch sides. It's nice to take a moment in the middle to see if you can get those hips perfectly aligned before you twist. Otherwise, you won't know if they've moved, right? So starting with a clean slate, as you're twisting away from the back hip, feel that it's wanting to come forward, wanting to lighten up. So heavy and back. So you're squaring the hips, moving the ribs more. Reach, 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 past the toes. And then fold. So those are separate. So if you don't anchor the hips in this way, you won't know as much, you won't know how much rib mobility you actually have. And getting the ribs to rotate actually frees up a lot of mid-back tension, which I know that we always feel, but maybe more so right now. So come on up, we'll do that one more time. We are taking class a little slower today, so I hope that's not frustrating anyone. Recenter your hips, twist to one side. Now hold. Notice probably you're getting that rotation from the back hip, yeah? So pull it back in space, sit heavy onto it, make your rib cage twist more. It's gonna be the back side of your ribs, pull them back. Then reach as far as you can with the fingers, pull back on that back hip, then fold. All right, come on up, last time, coming through the middle, square those hips under the hips. Twist from the ribs only, not the hips. Fix your back hip. Reach. Forward through the fingers, back through the hip. It's always a counterbalance here. And fold. All right, up through the middle. And fingertips in the middle of the legs. So I'm going to shift to the side so you can see where this is coming from. We want this to come from the low belly first. We want to see a rounding motion happening and feel the low belly engage. Not just the hip flexors, but you will feel those. So it's not that we're trying to lift from the knees, we're lifting from the toes. Straight legs, so it's not this, kind of flunking those feet up. It's going to be a shift back, a scoop, push with the hands or pull with the hands, and lift the legs. So rock it back, scoop, zip that low belly up like you're trying to squeeze into tight jeans, push into the floor, and lift those legs. They don't have to lift at all or high. Rock back, scoop under, push, lift. Yep, there we go, 3 more. Rock, push, lift. Sit up each time, rock back, scoop, zipper up, push. Last one. All right, bring those legs together again, rolling back onto your back. And find your tabletop. All right, we're going to reach the arms long, so not on the floor, but right by your sides. Reach your fingertips as long as you can, but broaden your collarbones here. Then turn your palms to face your hips. Glue your ankles together, and we're fishtailing back and forth. So twisting a little bit in the hips, yes. Hiking the hip up on each side. If you want to go for a little bit more, lift those hands up and give yourself something to shoot for. So tap the shin into the hand or push the hand into the shin also. Give yourself some resistance. Almost there. Can you zip that hip up into your ribs? One more. And done. All right, we're gonna rock up to seated. And find a bent knee teaser. So hands on the ground, lift your feet up. Now shift into one hip. And again, it's not just that we rocked into one hip passively. We rock and then lift the other guy up off the ground even more. So now we are trying to hike that hip up or shorten that side waist. Remember, in single leg stretches and such, tabletops, we do not want to. So shift and lift. Bend your elbows here. More as you lean back and straighten the legs out. Back and forth. So when you sit up, open the chest. You're on that one hip the whole time. Through the middle, switch, and lift. So if you want to on that lift, use your hands to push the floor away to open the chest, but try to do it just from your abs. Back through the middle, we got one more time on each side. You know these aren't my favorite. Last one. Keep the legs straight, rock through the middle this time. Lift that chest. By the way, if your hips are tight, you'll notice the knees want to split apart when you bring them in. It's not wrong. It's just showing you maybe a bit of an imbalance in those hips. So squeeze those knees together, get those inner thighs. Last thing here to burn ourselves out, straighten those legs. We're going to go side to side with straight legs. Keep those legs low and straight. Lift the hip off the floor. So it's not just this. Really lift that hip in towards your waist. Almost there. Whew. All right. Find a mermaid. We're going to get this side waist to stretch. So take your same side arm as the side with no legs. Up and over. You can push against the floor even with the hand on the ground. Now it's nice to add to the side bend, either a twist up toward the ceiling or down toward the floor. Up toward the ceiling is going to target from your elbow through your side hip, and toward the floor is going to shift into your right lower back. How are we doing? Good? Warm? If you closed all your windows and don't have your AC on, you will be warm. All right. Fingertips behind you. Shift onto your bum. Swivel those legs around. And switch sides. I think too often our side waists, our side ribs, our side abs, our obliques, the whole side section of our body is a blind spot for us, both to strengthen and stretch. All right, stay on this side. You're in your mermaid, so you have two legs bent into two 90-degree angles here. I'm gonna put your hand on the ground to help you, or go hands free and just support yourself. We are going to try to shift into the hip of the front leg entirely. So really feel that bracing happening here. You can lean a little bit that way if you need to. The more you lean, the easier it's going to be. The more vertical you stay, the harder. Lift your back bent leg up and down. Now when you lift, it's not just the knee lifting, it's the knee and shin and foot all parallel to the floor. So lift and lower. You can lower all the way down if you need to, or halfway if you want to work a little bit more. If you get a cramp, take your fist, just hammer that section out. Again, you got a little training wheel situation here. Kickstand on the ground if you want it. If you don't want it, keep those arms up. So again, you could have arm weights on, you could have hand weights here. Get fancy if you want to. Lifting that back leg with as little wiggle or twist as possible. Now, a little different. Leave the knee down, lift the back foot. So it's a little sassy, like you're trying to kick something. You're gonna feel that femur rotate toward the floor. That's what we want. If you want a little bit extra, little hand here. Tap the hand pushes into the leg. Just a little bit of resistance for a moment, both ways, from the leg, from the hand. You're gonna feel triceps and lats too, so bonus. Internal rotators of the glutes get tired faster because we don't use them as much. It's gonna feel deep. One more. Ooh, lie on down, onto the elbow. Bend both knees, so you're in a side lying tabletop essentially. Squeeze your feet together, lift your feet, and clam. Again, if you want to add to it, you got an extended arm, give that little push into the leg into the hand for just a minute. Don't forget your bottom leg, it is pushing into the ground too. So we have pointed toes for this one. 2 more like this. And now flex. Flex those toes towards you, squeeze your heels together, push both knees, one into the arm, one into the ground. Last one. Woo. And done. Sit up, swivel around. Second side, you're starting in mermaid again. All right, remember you have kickstand arm here or no hands, mom. Lift the whole back leg. Knee, shin, and foot. Level, like it's riding an elevator up and down. Hover if you want. Sit up a little higher if you can. You might notice crazy differences in the hips here, left to right, and that's okay. Just make a little inventory. How we doing? If you're with me on my playlist, you've got a burlesque soundtrack going on right now. It's very sassy. You can shimmy a little bit if you want to. 2 more. And now more internal rotation. This time the knee stays down. Kick the back foot up. Again, you can just lift and squeeze if you want to, or have an extended hand, palm faces the back, push into the leg pushes into the hand for just a second. So the focus should not necessarily be on how high that back foot gets. It's more about feeling that leg bone twist toward the floor each time. Keep going. Bruiser. Last one. All right, lying down onto that elbow, find your clam. Knees together, feet stay together, but feet kick up. We're going for pointed feet for this first one. Lift and lower. Now you can lower all the way down or halfway down. You can extend an arm, give that a gentle squeeze. Leg into the hand into the leg. Bottom leg is pushing into the floor too. If you take my classes a lot, we do side lying a lot, you know what to do with this bottom shoulder by now, right? Space under the ear. Lift that bottom rib cage up. Always finding a way to get your obliques on here. Woo. Flex the feet, keep going. Squeeze your heels together. You have 3 more. Last one. All right, sit on up. Crisscross the legs. Either leg is in front. And we're walking the hands forward for a forward fold. So as you come forward, try not to lift your booty up off the ground. Send your hips back, make them heavy. Try to keep them evenly weighted, left to right on the ground. You can walk your arms as far forward as you want to, or the elbows, or stay up on the hands. And then add a little shimmy left to right, real slow. And see what works best for you. Normally I find sending my chest toward the foot of my front leg, so away from the hip I feel stretching mostly, gives me that best stretch for that back hip. So if you've moved your chest toward the foot of the front leg, leave that forearm there and twist your chest up toward the ceiling. You can leave that hand up if you want to, or hand on the leg, just a gentle lengthening. Don't try and push down on the knee. Just open your chest just a smidge. Hang your head to the side. All right, roll through the middle. You might not have felt it in the stretch, but when you come back around, you might feel that you did get the low back a little bit in that. All the way up, switch legs. New leg in front. Again, left and right hips stay equally heavy. Walk your hands down, lift your chest, send those hips back and down. It's amazing how much they want to get up and away from the stretch. Little shimmy left to right. Make sure your knee is happy with this. Find your best stretch. For me, again, usually it's shifting my chest over the foot of my front leg. And then leave that bottom forearm there, twist. Maybe pushing on the floor, lengthening from that thigh, twisting the chest up. Send that back hip toward the floor like you put a weight in it, or a sandbag. Out of your head. All right, carefully roll through the middle. And come on up. All right, let's jump one leg straight forward. Doesn't matter which. Take your other leg up and over. Hi, Bruce. What are you doing? Again, we're trying to keep this hip on the ground. It'll want to lift up. Opposite arm as your front leg reaches around the front and grabs on. And basically this leg wants to flap out to the side if you let it. We're just trying to coax it up and straighter. All right, notice you are rounded back in your spine. It's almost impossible not to be. So imagine you're sitting behind a wall. Lift up taller, almost back bend through your lower spine. Now sit heavier in the hip of the bent leg, and then you can start to twist toward it. Now if that's working, you can crawl the arm you're using on the leg in front of that thigh and gently press into it to twist your chest open a little bit more. So you're gonna get a lot more rotation in your chest if your spine is tall and long. Obviously, if you're slouched, there's not much room for things to move. Each breath, you're lengthening up. Each exhale, you are wringing out. All right, you're gonna come back to center and grab whatever you can reach. So maybe it's the shin, maybe it's the pinky toe side of the foot, and extend out. You don't need to straighten the leg all the way. Now sit your chest up taller. You're looking for all kinds of acute angles, long straight lines. And we are twisting again, chest back. Focus more on getting your chest taller than getting your leg higher. You can push that leg behind you with your hand. Sit into the hip you're stretching. And bring it back around. All right. Check that out. Second side. You're gonna bring that leg in, sit taller, cross it over. Opposite arm reaches around and hugs it. You're sitting it up and taller. And then press your chest towards your thigh. Press your head to the ceiling. Big inhale, get as long as you can first. And then the exhales will twist you. So it's a constant movement. Each inhale, you're sitting a little taller. By pressing your sit bones down, your head to the sky. Each exhale, you're turning. You'll also notice if you are rounded back or slouched back by where the pressure on your sit bones is coming from. If you can sit up a little taller and back bend a bit, you'll feel like you're right on top of those sit bones, not coming at them from the back. Now again, if that's available, you can crawl that arm to the thigh, open the chest more, press into your leg, sit heavier into the hip you're stretching, and reach back. All right, come back around, grab whatever you can reach. Shin, maybe the pinky side of the foot. I go thumb down for that one. Sit tall first, Straighten out carefully. And we are taking the leg across the body as we twist the chest away from it. All right, shake it out. A little more space here, right? Okay, we're just getting into it. So switch to the side again. Hi, bug. We're going to come into some side planks. You have a few options here. You can glue the ankles together and just stack them on top of each other. You can split them apart, so it's heel, toe, and stack them that way, front to back. Or you can kickstand your top leg on top. Or if you need even more support, you can go for a one-legged tabletop, like so. All we're looking for is for the obliques to have to lift the hips up, okay? Whatever way you need to is fine. Stack your elbow right under your shoulder, drop that shoulder out of your ear. Maybe use your top hand on the floor as well. And we're gonna lift and lower. And for this one today, we're almost looking to get high enough to feel a banana shape underneath your body. And it's amazing how hard these feel. If you have joint issues, like me sometimes, even before you lift your hips, you'll want to squeeze your quads around your kneecaps and carry them with you so you don't get any lateral pressure in your knees. All right, one more. Now take your top leg, if it isn't already, to the floor and kickstand it. Remember, drop that shoulder down, and we're lifting the back leg toward the ceiling. So inner thigh work here. Two more. All right, change the legs. You're tabletopping the bottom leg. We're gonna lift the top leg. Flex the foot. I'm trying to do this with the pug in the way. We're gonna draw a figure 8 with the foot. So as you come forward, you're gonna point the big toe to the floor and tap. And then toes to the ceiling. Tap behind you, heel down. And then up, toes down, toes up, lift, heel down. So you're drawing a little figure 8, tapping heel back, toes down. Also, you're lifting that leg in a little semicircle as you do it. Try to do this, feeling the leg bone turn in your hip socket, but not necessarily the hip wave back and forth. Okay, you're almost there. And stretch that leg as long away from you as you can. Take your arm up and over. All right, we're gonna pivot through the middle and switch sides again. So if you have fancy moves here, whip them out. Side plank first. So down to your forearm. Lift up as high as you can. Choose your legs. Again, feet are stacked or front to back. You have a bottom tabletop leg or a top kickstand leg. Your call. Top hand on the floor if you need to. Engage around your kneecaps, and we're lifting.
Ideally a little higher
Then it would be a straight side plank, which would be here. Try to lift that bottom hip as high off the ground as you can, making a banana shape. 4 more. 2 more. And last one. All right, top leg kickstands. Keep out of that shoulder. Bottom leg, inner thigh, lifting up. Three more. From way up in your inner thigh. Last one. All right, switch them out. So bottom leg kickstands. Lift and flex that back foot. A little easier to see over here. It's a little figure 8 Also a semicircle, so you're lifting up in the middle. Come forward, big toe. Already we're twisting the femur down, so internal rotation, big toe taps the floor. Then turns up, semicircle, lift and back. Aim the heel down. Lift, heel up, toe down, internal rotation, tap. Lift, back and tap. Doesn't have to be pretty. I want you to feel your femur turn forward and back. Forward and back. Like a little door on a hinge. Almost. Last one. All right, reach that as long away from you as you can. Up and over. And come on up. All right, so last 10 minutes, we're just gonna stretch. Let's take a wide straddle. And I like to wiggle a little bit side to side. So I'm gonna shift into one hip. The hip I'm shifting away from, internal rotate. So turn that femur toward the floor a little bit, or a lot, up to you. And then shift back into that hip. So I'm sitting on one, freeing up the other. A little internal rotation, maybe leaning away from it. Getting that inner thigh stretch way up high. Back and forth. Shift into one. Rotate the other down, drag away from it. And then back to center. Give yourself a minute to feel like you're in both hips here. You're sitting tall. Hands back behind you. Tilt your pelvis forward like you're gonna spill it forward. Use your hands and press your chest up. And then see if you can walk your hips forward a little bit. Maybe not. All right, then walk your hands in front of you. Arch your tailbone toward the sky as you fold forward. So I think we hear forward fold and we think round. Almost always forward folds have the intention of a back bend in them. You just don't want to put too much pressure on your discs of your back. All right, I always say go halfway down, whatever that is for you. So you still have some leeway here. And you're gonna walk yourself from side to side. Real slow. If you find a nice juicy spot, stay there. Now, there's nothing wrong with, as you walk to one side, letting that other hip come up. We just did that, right? It feels pretty good through the thigh. You don't want to always only do that. So feel the difference between lifting the hip and then sinking that sit bone back to the floor, anchoring the stretch. You don't get to go as far, so mentally we don't like that, but you're gonna get a different, more active feel as you tug away from that anchored point. And we need to do both. All right, walk yourself through the middle, whatever that is for you. I'm gonna hold here. And then come back up. All right. Find a lunge. And I'm gonna face you so you can see the twist here. I'm gonna step one leg forward. And slide the back toes a little further back. Now, we're gonna walk the hands inside the front foot. And let, as we twist away from that front leg, the back leg roll toward the front leg. So again, that femur is an internal rotation, twisting toward the front leg so that you feel the outside side of your back hip kind of round and sag toward the floor. Now don't let it touch all the way down. You want the heaviness and weight of that stretch there. If you want to play with that a little bit more, you're going to lift your back knee, pivot onto the back pinky toe side of that foot when you twist. Notice I turned my front knee out to the side more, so it's a more exaggerated pivot and sag here. Again, the back hip doesn't touch the floor. It might look like it does. We don't want that support. And then if you want a little bit more, you can help yourself twist towards your front knee by grabbing on with your arm. No pressure here, it's just more of a lift in the chest. And this this gets all kinds of things, right? You're feeling that tension from the IT band, you're stretching your side hip flexors, maybe your waist. All right, come back to center. Make sure for knee health that you square that knee and the back toes to the floor. All right, we're gonna stay here in your lunge with the back knee down, or options, lift the back knee and try and walk the elbows to the floor, or, and my favorite, and again, make sure your knees are happy, but see how I'm stepping on the whole foot here? You're gonna pivot to the pinky toe edge of the front foot and drop that knee out to the side. And then you can lower your chest, or maybe drop down to the elbows. And again, a little pivot side to side feels good if your knees are happy with it. So you're kind of blending a pigeon with a lunge. All right, walk yourself up, step on that foot again, and then pull back for a half split. We're gonna flex that front foot. Now imagine you hairsprayed this leg in place, so your knee is locked in. We're gonna move from the upper thigh again. Imagine you're waving at somebody with your foot, so it's not just a floppy ankle here. Flex the foot, take your toes with you. You're turning from the leg, but in a forward fold. And I tend to like to turn out a little bit and then drop my chest just a smidge. All right, walk it forward. Now, we've been stretching a lot of this front side. We're gonna walk that front leg out to the side. So you're on the pinky toe side of your front foot. If you want more, tuck your back toes, lift that back knee, and straighten both legs. A lot of arms here. You're gonna start to sag that front hip toward the floor. As much as you like, or all the way this time. And then you're pressing into the floor to lift your chest. So if you lose the stretch, back up and find it again. All right, enough of that. Let it go. Come on up. Last leg, and you are done. So find your lunge. Hands on the floor. Slide that back leg further back. You're gonna walk both hands inside your front foot. And then just a little bit, shift your hips left to right. But also when you shift away from your front leg, you're letting that back femur spiral toward the front leg. So you're trying to feel the stretch in the outside of the back leg. Again, that's our blind spot. It's very hard to stretch. You want a bit of a tailbone tuck and a side bend. All right, if you want a little bit more, center off, lift the back knee, pivot onto the pinky toe side of your back leg. Really protect that back knee, so straight leg. Notice I turned my front leg out a little bit. Now, tailbone tuck a bit. Let that hip itself sag toward the floor. Push into your hands. Twist your chest toward the front leg. And then roll it back to center. Make sure you know where your knees and toes are. Everything pointing toward the floor. All right, a little low lunge or lizard, or again, you can walk that front foot in a little bit, pivot onto the pinky toe side of your front leg, so on that blade side, and let that knee sink toward the floor. You can lower down here. You can tell which side is tighter, huh, on me? We all have our imbalances. All right, walk yourself back up. Center out again, and then gently start to pull back, working into that front hamstring. Sort of flex your front foot towards you, and then wave a little bit. Again, it's coming from the leg bone, rolling in and out in your inner thigh. And then twist those toes out just a smidge. Drop your chest a little bit more. comfortable, I know. We would never do this on our own unless someone made us, huh? All right, we're gonna work into that outside strip a little bit more. So, excuse me, pug. I'm gonna go this way. You'll slide that leg out to the side, lift the back leg, and let those hips sink as low as you like. Super straight knees, please. So don't go as low. Protect your knees. Hands are pushing down, maybe lifting the chest. And all the angles are good, they're just different. So you might want to come up a little higher and take your leg a little farther forward and drop your chest more, maybe than your hip. My yogis, if you're always doing your down dog, tripod leg, and you're coming through to your lunge, maybe slide it out to the side every once in a while and add your hip stretch before you come through. All right, we are going to take a down dog. So hands shoulder width, lift on up, take your feet a little wider than your shoulders or even wider. Push into the floor, take your shoulders away from your ears, hips up, bend one knee at a time, paddling one heel to the floor. And then round on up through a plank, drop those knees, really tuck those hips under and the chest, and inhale, arch. One more time, exhale, round, and inhale, arch. Good, roll on up, grab your knees or your thighs, pull on the hands, press your chest forward. And then pull on the hands again, tuck your tailbone around your chest, drop your chin, let your head go a little side to side. All the way up, one last arch. And you are done. Nice job, guys. If you have questions, let me know. If you have anything you want to see next time, request, let me know. Good to see you guys. Hi Karen, hi Dolores, hi everyone else I missed. Hope to see you in the studio when you're comfortable to return. Otherwise, we'll see you online. I have the Friday section every week, and everyone else is holding down the other times. So thanks so much for staying with us. We miss you. Bye guys.